Hey there, good listener. Today's show is dedicated to our good friend, Nicole Greenwood. She was the definition of a free spirit. She loved dogs and literally danced her way through life. She left us too soon and is greatly missed. This episode is for you, Nicole. You were a person who made spreading kindness your priority. We love you. We miss you.
I tell everybody this, that you should tune into it and really notice when there are opportunities for kindness or when it's happening around you, and soak it in. Hi, I'm Brooke Jones, and you're entering A World Gone Good.
Well, hello, my name is Steve, and here we are again in the place where we shine the light or find the light in the darkness to find the good is still out there, and there's plenty of it. For all the good we have to offer, head on over to worldgonegoodpodcast.com. That's our website, managed by the oh-so-good Lisa, where you can find all our good episodes, and you can even find out what the top 5 most popular of all time episodes are. I wonder which show is number 1. Visit worldgonegoodpodcast.com and get you some good. Okay, who knows what's happening this Sunday, November 13th? Anyone want to take a guess? Anyone? Bueller? No Googling, you cheaters. If you said, duh, Steve, it's World Kindness Day, then you are correct. Ding, ding. And hey, get this, everybody. We're already in World Kindness Week. It started on November 7th. Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me? That was not kind. That's selfish. Okay, World Kindness Day was first introduced in 1997 by the World Kindness Movement, a coalition of nations including Canada, Australia, Nigeria, and the United Arab Emirates. They all came together at a Tokyo Kindness Conference to emphasize the necessity for a global kindness movement. This was and is all about sharing compassion for others and through doing so, ourselves. Now, I know what you're thinking. Let's focus on what really matters. Steve, what do I wear? What do I wear to World Kindness Day? Well, whatever you choose, just make sure its color is blue, because that is the official color to show your support of kindness. Brooke Jones is here from randomactsofkindness.org, and she's the perfect person to help us celebrate our upcoming World Kindness Day. I am with Brooke Jones from randomactsofkindness.org. And this Sunday, November 13th, is World Kindness Day, and this is where we're going to start, Brooke. We live in a world right now that celebrates getting angry, getting mad. Things are being taken away from us. That doesn't sound so kind to me. So sounds stupid, but why do we need to be kind?
Well, I think it's because of everything you just said. There's so much negativity. There's so much divisiveness right now in the world that I think if we just spent a few more minutes a day focusing on kindness, the world would be a better place. We are, I think all of us need it. All of us crave it. And so we just need to be a little more intentional about it.
Where did this journey start for you? Did you have a wake-up epiphany moment like, I'm not kind? Or, oh God, I just made that really horrible, but you know what I mean? Did you have a moment? What was your moment?
It's funny. I don't consider myself like the kindest person at all, even though I have this wonderful job. I still get annoyed and pissed off. And, I've been known to flip somebody the bird in traffic, all those things, because I'm human and these things happen. That being said, I think, for me, it really started when I had my daughter, and I thought, okay, I want to raise her with all the things that matter to me, including kindness, and really be, as I said, intentional about it, where I wanted her to be happy. I wanted her to be kind. I want her to understand sort of the social and emotional benefits of kindness. And so I just spent a lot of time on that when she was little. I was actually not working here at the time. I was in the arts. I was managing public art projects, and so this was just like something that mattered to me. And then when this position became available at the foundation, it was like this is what I'm meant to do. This is what I care about. I want to make sure that people understand the power of kindness, how it can change somebody's life in a matter of 1 second. And you don't even know it, by being kind to somebody. Sometimes it saves lives. And so I've spent the last 11 years trying to spread that message.
Do you think there's a fine line between being right and being kind?
I don't think it's that fine a line, actually. I think I have learned this. Interestingly, I'm married to somebody who has different political values than me, and we ultimately want the same thing for this country, for other people, but we look at how to achieve that in different ways. So I have, it started when we were dating where it was like, I don't think this is going to last because we don't agree politically. And what I realized was I don't need to be right. He didn't need to be right. We just realized we have different experiences, different backgrounds. We come at the same problem from two different perspectives. So I don't think they're mutually exclusive.
Now we got interesting. When did you know that you didn't have the same political views? Thank you. I was trying to find the word. I was like, what's a good word to use? That's a careful. Did you know? Did you know this before, as you were getting into the relationship, or did it like sort of spring up on you? And were you like,
No, we knew as we were getting into the relationship. We started out as friends and knew that we didn't agree politically, but I knew, it was almost like a stereotype for both of us. He was from Texas, he, military, all this kind of stuff that goes with the stereotype. And I was from San Francisco, and, all these things that sort of came together. And neither one of us are extreme in our views, but we definitely disagreed during the heat of all of that political nonsense that's been going on over the last several years. So we've learned to respect each other's views, even though I'm literally filling out my ballot right now, like just before I got on the phone with you. And I know that we will not vote the same. We'll cancel each other out, and that's okay.
That's interesting. Because you have to find a kindness in yourself to accept somebody else, don't you think?
Absolutely. I think that's something I've worked on personally for many years, is the idea that all of us are different, and that makes us kind of the beautiful society that we are, that not everybody looks at things the same way. There are certain topics that I wish we could all agree on, and just, I sort of shake my head sometimes about why somebody looks at something differently than me, but that's because they have a different perspective, different background, different upbringing, and I have to respect that.
And obviously he feels the same way about you, or you just had a lot of money and he was really into that.
That's right.
Okay, so let's talk about randomactsofkindness.org, the foundation itself. Tell everybody about it. I did a ton of research on it myself, but I want to hear from you, from your perspective on it, and how you got involved with them.
Well, the foundation's been around now for a little over 20 years. It was started in San Francisco, actually during a summer of violence. There was a lot of stuff going on in the Bay Area at the time, and the news was reporting and had coined that phrase, random acts of violence. And there was a reporter at the time who said, let's stop focusing on random acts of violence and start focusing on random acts of kindness. And so the foundation was born, and at the time they were doing a lot of kind of swag, t-shirts and bumper stickers and mugs, and we all remember those on the backs of cars, but there wasn't really much impact. So one of the donors to the foundation ended up purchasing it and then brought it to Colorado, where we are now. And I've been here about 11 years. So the foundation itself focuses on three areas. We want to make kindness the norm in the workplace, in the schools, and at home. And everything we do, we offer completely free of charge. We have evidence-based curriculum. There's tons of stuff on the website, but everything's completely free because our funder believes that kindness should be free and that people should have access to all of this anytime.
So on the website, it talks about a racktivist. What is a racktivist?
We found that early on that there were a lot of people on our social media channels that were saying, I love the inspiration and these quotes and all of this, but give us something to do. Tell us more. We are active kindness people, and we want to be part of a bigger community of activists. So the Racktivists were born, and now I believe globally we have about 45,000. There's a private Facebook page where people share acts of kindness or inspiration, ideas, challenges, quotes, all kinds of stuff. And so these are really the people who are kind of stepping up their game. And I love the Racktivists because I know there's a whole lot of people out there that believe, kindness should be quiet and anonymous, and that's fine. But there are a lot of people who take inspiration and joy from listening and witnessing other people's acts of kindness.
So just everyone's aware, random act of kindness, RAK. That's where Racktivist comes. Very clever. And I got it. I picked up on it. Or there's someone who works with you named Rack. And I missed.
No, you got it.
I was going to say I missed the point completely. So on the website, it's really interesting because it breaks it down to, home, workplace, schools. And it's interesting because you have a pledge in the workplace that I wanted you to talk a little bit about.
Yeah. So we're just ramping up the workplace stuff. And the idea behind the pledge is that we want to make sure that some of these companies and organizations where people don't feel valued, or managers, supervisors are trying to create more of a culture of kindness, that they can take a pledge publicly within their organization and publicly on our site that says, we are creating an environment where employees feel respected, cared for, and included, that they offer a safe place for everyone to feel courageous, where they are valued and have a sense of purpose, and that they infuse their personal values or their company values with kindness, and creating an environment where the bottom line is actually about the people that work there and not necessarily profits and all of that. So this is just an idea for organizations to sort of boldly pledge that this is what matters to them.
Do you think that workplaces have changed what they're about since the pandemic? Have you noticed a change?
Yeah, and it's been interesting. I think what you're seeing is a real shock to the system, because the employees, people are saying, this has got to change, and I don't have to work here anymore, or I don't have to come in every day. We've proven that we can do some of this from home, or whatever it is, that they're sort of taking the baton and saying, no, this doesn't work for us anymore. And this is what matters to us. And that can be a variety of things. It could be some kind of flexible schedule or work from home. It could be, during the pandemic, I think a lot of people realized how many folks out there need help, support, security, that now they want their company to be involved in some way in creating a better society, that we're not just here from 9 to 5 and, punching the clock, that we need to be considering the people around us in our communities, and how we as a company, as an organization can solve some of these problems.
Well, especially like what you just said, we're spending 8 to 10 to 12 hours a day in an office or with other people who are not our family, not our chosen family, if you will. And so it should be an environment that we want to be in. It should be an inviting environment. It should be an environment that feels good and makes us feel good about ourselves.
That's right. I think, one of the things I think a lot of people realized during the pandemic was, a couple things. One is I think people sort of keyed in on their values that maybe weren't forefront for them, like what matters most to them. And I think they realized that being in whatever organization they're in, they want to have a sense of purpose and value. It's not just punching in and punching out. It's, what do I add to this organization? What role do I play? Is there something else I can do that would be more helpful, more supportive? People got creative during the pandemic, and I think some skills and I don't know, hidden talents of people came out during that time when all of us had to get creative, and I think companies are starting to see that and hopefully reward it.
It's funny because anyone who's listening right now and has listened before to my show, well, they know my story. I left my job 7 months ago, and one of the main reasons I left is they were not being kind to me. They were not being good to me. And I just had this perspective change. And I think if the pandemic hadn't happened, I would have been like, oh no, just another day. Oh, I understand. Okay. But it changed. It changed how we view the world.
Yep.
And that I think is a really huge thing for a lot of people. And a lot of people are out there right now questioning, what am I doing with my life? How am I making my world better for me and for the world around me?
That's right. And I think in addition, the pandemic sort of gave us a sense of limited time, right? I mean, at the beginning of it, I was freaked out. I thought, oh my God, is everybody going to die? What's happening? It was like a horror movie. And so our own mortality, our just sense of, like you say, what am I doing with my life? I think really came under a microscope during the pandemic. And whether people went back to their jobs or whatever they had before, I think they go back with a different perspective. And as you say, there's a lot of people now questioning, is this really where I want to be? Is this really how I want to spend my time? Am I actually making a difference in this job, in the world, in my family, all of those things? And I think it's wonderful, this kind of epiphany that a lot of people are having.
So on that note right now, what can we do? I mean, I always say this to certain guests. What are 3 things I can do? What is one thing I can do? What is something that we can do, anyone can do, to create a kinder world, a kinder environment for themselves?
So I think a couple things. One is I tell everybody this, that you should tune into it and really notice when there are opportunities for kindness or when it's happening around you, and soak it in. If you see something happen, like just the other day, my colleague and I saw a woman on the street. There was a gentleman trying to catch the bus, and he was in a wheelchair, and he was crossing the street, and he wasn't going to make it in time. And there was a woman that sort of ran over in her high heels and asked permission to push him to the bus to get him there in time. And it was just, I almost wanted to cry. And so these moments that are happening around us, tune into them and appreciate them, savor them. And I think the other thing that I tell people, and I really worked on this a lot during the pandemic, was practicing gratitude, regularly thinking about in those tough times, what are you grateful for? There's always something to be grateful for. And then actually expressing it. Don't just sort of let it be a fleeting thought. My daughter and I made a gratitude jar during the pandemic. And I told her, every day you have to write down one thing on a Post-it note. We're going to shove it in this jar. And then at the end of the pandemic, we're going to read all of them. And it was helpful for both of us, because there were days where it was like, I don't know, I guess I'm grateful for brownies, or Netflix or whatever. So.
That's perfect. Well, I've done it on this show, and I've talked about it, and there's 2 episodes on it where we first did it, and then we 1 year later talked about it, which is our happy jar. We call it our happy full jar, and it's exactly what you're talking about. We have a huge mason jar, and we have little pieces of paper, and it's just happy little things happen. If we have dinner with a friend, if we have a good workout, if we go for a great walk, if there's, stars, really, star-filled night, and it's kind of dark here, and people turn their outside lights off, and we can actually see the stars. We fill that up, and then every New Year's Eve we dump them out, and we sit and we read all of them, and then they all go in the fireplace, and it's just something really amazing when you look at the date and you go, oh my God, March 3rd, blah, blah, 2022, and you have no memory of it, but it brings all those feelings back to you.
That's right. Exactly. And I think I explain it sometimes when I speak to groups, that it's like an emotional piggy bank where you're literally depositing all these lovely memories or things that you're grateful for. And then when you dump it out like that, especially when things are tough, you can draw from that piggy bank and know that, you can be more resilient, and you can fight a little harder and struggle a little better when you have that to pull from.
On the note of what we were just talking about right here, with you mentioned your daughter, on the website, there's all these materials for parents and families to use as like kindness activities. And it's really interesting because they're broken down into like topics and journals, like a respect unit, a caring unit, an inclusion unit, an integrity unit, responsibility, a courage unit. What are these, and how can parents and families use these right off your website right now?
That is a great question. And yes, so those 6 concepts that you just mentioned are sort of our key kindness concepts that kindness is sort of an umbrella term for all of those things and many others. But those are our 6 core concepts that we work with for everything that we do. So for parents, we put together a lot of stuff during the pandemic that was kindness at home. So it's like quick, convenient little activities for families, discussion topics, journal prompts. You can sign up for a weekly email that comes to you that gives you an idea of a project or, an idea for you to do outside in your community. We have a guide for parents. Then there's the entire curriculum as well that they can look at. But we really tried to build out something that's graspable. There's also a really fun kindness challenge book that we've created for various age groups. And it's kind of like a scavenger hunt where you can, fill out, as you complete things, you get to fill out the book and draw pictures and write things and all kinds of stuff. So we're really trying to make it fun, trying to make it common. As we say, right, make kindness the norm. Right now, it just feels like the exception a lot of the time, that it's like, ooh, something good happened. Did you see that? Like, that never happens. We want to make it so that we don't even think about it, that the intentionality of kindness actually turns into random acts of kindness.
Now, if you're like me, because you just said it, if you're like me, you can look at the world any way you want to look at it, right? And you can look at it and say, it's terrible, it's awful, and all these horrible things are happening. And granted, I'm not Mr. Happy Pants all the time either. And I have my dark days, and people always are shocked about that. And I wanted to ask you about that. Are people shocked when you have a bad day? You specifically?
The people that know me well know that I have a lot of shitty days, and that includes even the days that I'm at work spreading kindness. Like, there are days that are rough, and so I try to be vulnerable and humble and open. I'm an open book about that stuff. I am not the kindest person. I am not always practicing kindness. I do really try and notice it and appreciate it when it happens. But it's so funny. Like, my husband is literally one of the kindest people, and he's always doing stuff. Like, he jumped out of the car the other day to push a cart back into place at the store. And I was like, I would not have done that. So I realized, like, oh my gosh, I could really do better.
You would have bumped it with your car. I'll just very tap it just slightly.
Exactly. Or just like yell at whoever randomly left it there. So I notice, areas where I can improve. But I definitely have rough days. There was last year, are we almost 2 years now? My daughter was diagnosed with MS, and that was during the pandemic. And it was one of these where everybody was so supportive and caring, and I was I was such a mess trying to figure it all out that I couldn't really be kind. And I just couldn't lift my head up to appreciate everything, to respond in appropriate ways. When people were sending support, it was just kind of like, I just wanted to say, fuck you, fuck everything. I don't want to be a part of this anymore. The world is not kind, and this is evidence of it. It's all of that was happening in my mind. And so, yeah, I definitely have some rough days.
And what advice would you give people based on what you just said, that you got yourself out of it? What do you tell people who get there themselves? How do you open your heart back up?
That was
that's a big one that happened with your daughter. That's huge.
Yeah, it was huge. And I did come back to gratitude, especially, we sat for days in Children's Hospital with her, and I saw so many kids, parents, families that were struggling so much more than we were. And I kept coming back to her room thinking, we're so lucky. And that's not something you would think of unless you're sort of in a situation where you're able to put it into perspective. And we've continued to do that with her. I think that she also helps me with that. We use a lot of humor, her and I in particular, that most people would find incredibly inappropriate. And but it helps. Like, I have to tell you a funny story. When we were in the hospital, so she was 14 when she got diagnosed, and she said to me, because she didn't really know what MS was, and I didn't know too much about it, but she said, "Mom, am I going to get a Make-A-Wish?" And I said, I broke my heart because I thought, oh my gosh, no, you're not going to get a Make-A-Wish. But I said, well, if you do, can you just set it up so that your Make-A-Wish includes me and Ryan Reynolds for like a couple hours at the Ritz-Carlton in New York City?
Would that be too much to ask of you, little child?
Right. Like, you kind of owe me for a lot. So it's that kind of stuff that helps her through it, helps me through it. And humor always gets us back to a place of kindness and like just sort of not taking everything so seriously.
So as we stated earlier, this Sunday, November 13th, is World Kindness Day. Happy World Kindness Day, everyone. What would you like us to do? What are we supposed to do on World Kindness Day?
This is a day that you can go a little bit outside your comfort zone and do something you wouldn't normally do. So if you wave people into traffic, that's great. If you hold the door open for somebody normally, that's fine. Do something different. Pay for somebody behind you if you have the ability to do that. Perhaps start a canned food drive at work or something that's a little bit more effort. It brings kindness to the forefront a little bit more, and then tell people, share. This is World Kindness Day. We've got to step it up as a society and care more about each other and be more actionable in the way we treat each other.
We close these shows with 3 questions. Don't panic. You know the answers. Question number 1 is the easiest question of all. Where do people find your organization? Where do people find you on social media so that they can follow you?
You can find us at randomactsofkindness.org, and then you'll find us at RAC Foundation on Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest. You'll see us everywhere. And we're just starting up a TikTok page that tells you that I am old because I don't know how to get this thing going. So
same.
Yeah, I gotta work on that.
Yeah, I know. Everyone keeps saying to me, "You need a World Gone Good TikTok page," and I'm like, no.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
I still have my DVD player, and I'm putting my $6 Million Man DVDs in it, and I watch them, and people are like, "Oh, aren't you adorable?"
That's awesome. I sit around and watch Three's Company at home.
Perfect. The next question can go back to anything we've discussed or anything you want to say, which is, who inspires you?
My daughter inspires me. She is, she's an incredible kid, given her health stuff. She just gets up every day and does what she needs to do. She's just super lovely and caring and tuned in. And so I want to be more like her.
And the final question is not even a question. It is just a statement to finish. We close every show like this. Tell me something good.
People are good. They are inherently good. We just have to look for it.
Thank you, Brooke, for sharing your good. World Kindness Day. It's this Sunday. Write it down. This Sunday, November 13th. Plan some kindness. Make some kindness happen. Next time on World Gone Good.
Hi, I'm Mary Cortani, founder and executive director of Operation Freedom Paws.
Hi, it's Tasha from A Daily Dose of Love with Tasha.
Scott McKenzie here, one of the cookie dads of Cookies for Caregivers.
Hi there, this is Heather Vickery with the Brave Files podcast.
Hi, I'm Allison Endries from the Wonderlusting Wives podcast.
Hi, my name is Lauren Passell.
My name is Erica.
This is Richie the Mole.
My name is Carrie.
This is Vanessa Marshall.
Joan Van Ark here.
Buckle up and get ready because I am bringing together a whole lot of people, including some of my real-life friends. Some go back to my childhood. Others I've met along the way. Some are previous good guests of ours, and some are good future guests that are coming up soon. And yeah, you might even hear a celebrity or two just thrown in the mix because I got to keep you on your good toes. Why are they all here? To give thanks, of course. We're heading toward Thanksgiving, and a bevy, don't you just love that word? A bevy of my favorite people are ready to share what and who and why they are thankful. Who knows? Maybe you'll find some inspiration yourself in hearing from them. I can't wait to share this super fun episode all about thanks and giving thanks with you. Until then, be good.